He does not have $1 billion. Ryan Reynolds made that off of the sale of his liquor company, reportedly, never mind what they've earned as actors. I'm more resolved than ever to continue to stand for every woman's right to have a voice in protecting themselves, including their safety, their integrity, their dignity, and their story. Remember she said that they made her perform the birth scene with like a slit covering up her lady parts, and then he brought on his best friend to play the doctor and let him linger down there below where he could check her out from a gynecological perspective. And then that person, that actor, came forward to say, this is such a lie, that's not true, she had on biker shorts the entire time. And by the way, I'm not just his buddy, I've been in all sorts of like Shakespearean productions and other big productions, and I'm insulted at their description of me just coming over as like an ogling buddy of Justin's. F off. Just yet another one of her obvious lies. But now she needs to speak out to protect one's integrity and dignity and one's story. Yeah, it's a story, all right. With love and gratitude for the many who stood by me. Many of you I know, many of you I don't, but I will never stop appreciating or advocating for you. Okay. And then according to one insider per People magazine, she's been crying with relief. She's obviously relieved. They both are, someone tells People. She feels vindicated. Everyone is happy on the legal team. Well, I really think her days of feeling relieved and super happy about this case are numbered. And to be honest, I think they're not as joyful as she's portraying and her PR people are portraying in the media right now. And here's what I really want to say. So what's happened now, and as a practical matter, what's going to happen going forward is Justin's now the defendant and Blake is now the plaintiff. And that's a very simple formula, and I've tried cases like that myself, many of them, in the past, both worked on as a litigator and actually seen through to trial. And it's a very simple case now. He said, she said. That's what it is. No more cross claims, really. No more New York Times. No more press people. It's her versus him. And on the merits of that case, I believe she will lose in this court of law. She's going to get Amber Hearded. That's what's going to happen. It's going to be brutal. She's going to get cross-examined by Brian Friedman, and it's not going to be pretty. Mark my words. It's not going to be pretty when she gets crossed. I don't believe either side is in the mood to settle. It's possible, because don't forget, she lost a major piece of her complaint too earlier last week, when her claims for emotional distress had to be thrown out. Well, she threw them out because Team Baldoni said, okay, give us access to your psychiatrist records. Let us see your mental health records. You're claiming we have to pay you all these damages for the severe mental distress that we inflicted on you. Great. Let's see what those damages look like. And that's a totally appropriate request by them to say, you're asking us to pay for all your medical visits? Let me see your medical visits. Now I have to see whether you complained about me or you were complaining about life as a Hollywood star and Ryan doesn't pay enough attention to me. And she immediately dropped those counts, saying, never mind. And she asked if she could drop them without prejudice, so she could hold them over Justin's head from now to the point of trial. And the court said, we're not doing that. They're dropped. If they're dropped, they're dropped. And if they're not dropped, then fork over your records. So she also suffered a loss in this case in the past 2 weeks. So they both suffered a loss. His is bigger than hers, no question. I'm not trying to spin you. But now, if they're going to settle, would be the time for them to say, okay, Blake can say, I will waive my right to damages, or more than likely she'll say, you do have to pay my attorney's fees, but we're going to pay those, to like some charity. It'll be some Me Too, like a Time's Up type thing to try to make her look good. And Justin Baldoni could potentially do that and make this thing go away while he's not looking like he's paying for sexual harassment. That could be a potential outcome. But what I believe as of now anyway is that both sides are so dug in, they are likely to barrel forward to trial. And Brian Friedman wants to get Blake Lively under deposition and Ryan Reynolds under deposition, and force them to respond to some of the very, very strong evidence he has that they're liars. That at least she's a liar and he's been misled deeply by his troubled wife. So I think that's probably where I put my bet, that that's what's likely to happen. And I believe when this goes to trial, she'll lose. But all of that also is not the point that I want to make. And here is the point, and then I will move on. The point is, she's already lost this case. This whole case was about PR. This case began, and I believe including her complaint with the California Civil Rights Department, it began because when they launched this movie, It Ends With Us, which is about domestic abuse, she suffered a round of unflattering press. She suffered that round of press, I believe, thanks to her own terrible personality and bad behavior and bullying tactics, both against reporters and against Justin Baldoni and others on that set, which started to leak and turned the public on her. She was inappropriate in promoting the movie, which is about, battery of women. And she kept smiling and laughing and pimping her hair company and her weird flowers. And her affect was too light. And she seemed off, like she didn't understand what actual victims of abuse go through. She unfollowed Justin on all of his social accounts before the premiere. She relegated him to a basement on the premiere. She was clearly trying to gin up questions about what had happened between the two of them. And then boom, she dropped the hammer a couple months later with this complaint, which mysteriously, miraculously wound up in the New York Times. This was, in my opinion, Blake Lively trying to redeem herself in the public eye because she couldn't stand the round of bad publicity she suffered that she brought upon herself. We've talked about this many times recently on this show. George Clooney couldn't stand the fact that I said he's not a journalist, so he had to launch into some diatribe about how I'm not and going off on me. Okay, all right. Why don't you dye your hair another shade of black, George? Also, you should consider what's happening with those enormous bags under your eyes. Okay, I'm just saying. It's probably why you haven't been cast in anything other than a play for a while. So that's George. But there's a lot of people who just aren't used to any sort of negative publicity about themselves. And if they get one word of it, they have to lash out because it's so unusual. They're surrounded by all these yes men. I mean, honestly, I feel like the only person who gets like negative press like that, who's a huge star and doesn't fight back against it, is like a Tom Cruise, because he's used to taking all these hits for Scientology and he's such a big star. He's just kind of like, whatever. But these other stars cannot take negative publicity about themselves. And same for Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively, especially her. That's why she did this, I'm convinced. So she thought she was going to be able to bully him, that this was 2018 again, and that he would cower on the receiving end of these Me Too allegations she leaked that she had made on set, where she was failing and struggling. And I mean, she's terrible in the movie. If you've watched it, a lot of people have commented on it. And that she would emerge, like she called herself in that text message she sent to Justin, as Khaleesi from Game of Thrones. That she would be the mother of dragons, this fierce warrior, that Taylor and Ryan were her dragons who were going to kill for her anybody who got in her way or tried to smear her reputation. And while she wrote that to Justin in a friendlier moment, although there was clearly a veiled threat in there for him too, that's really how she thinks about herself. And she wanted to have that Me Too moment. I mean, this is the same thing with Gretchen Carlson. Gretchen Carlson sees herself as like the heroine of the Me Too movement. It's pathetic. Look what's happened to her. She's gone completely crazy, hard left. She's as bitter as they come on the left. She's one step away from the enormous blue glasses and blue bracelet and shaving her head. It hasn't really worked out well for her. And this hasn't worked out well for Blake Lively, because he did not cower. He did not hide in the basement. He did not roll over. He hired Brian Friedman, who fought back against Blake Lively. And she looks like a craven liar. Her reputation is in tatters. Not sure if she realizes that, because she only insists on hanging out with fellow leftists at places like the Time 100, where I saw her and I told you about that. She's Amber Hearded herself. Good luck getting your next big Hollywood blockbuster role. You guys are going to be dining off of Ryan Reynolds' money from here to eternity. And she knows it. And by the way, it's not about money for her. She wants to be a star. She wants to be cast. Do you think it's tough to find a lot of beautiful blonde Hollywood actresses who really would like
She wants to be a star. She wants to be cast. Do you think it's tough to find a lot of beautiful blonde Hollywood actresses who really would like to star in a film who don't have a reputation of being a complete diva, who's going to meet the producer 001149, director, creators of the film? It's really not. They're a dime a dozen. Good luck to her. Father's Day is coming up. Let's celebrate all the great fathers out there who have had such